Hello, and welcome to the Thrive Mindset Podcast. I am so glad you are here with me. My name is Carrie Dahle, and I am your host. I am an entrepreneur, author, podcaster, manifester, and motivator. And I am on a mission to empower you to create the life of your dreams. If you are looking to up-level your life, relationships, finances, productivity, and success, you have come to the right place. I will share with you tools, resources, strategies, my failures, and my successes that have all helped me achieve the life of my dreams. It is my goal with this podcast to help you see your potential and empower you to create the life of your dreams. So let's get to it. Welcome back to the Thrive Mindset Podcast. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot believe it is already June. It feels like it was May 1st 2 days ago, and all of a sudden I turn around and the month is gone. Like, it is gone. And I don't even know where it went or how it went so fast. But what it made me remember was that now that we're in June, we're almost to the halfway mark of the year. Like, we are almost halfway through 2023. And as crazy as that is, it is so very important to take this time and do a mid-year check-in. Do y'all know what a mid-year check-in is? Well, for me, it is a time for me to look back at this past year so far, which, I mean, crazy, right? 6 months almost. But to look back at it and go, what have I done? Where have I gone? Am I hitting the marks and the goals and the steps that I set out to do to get to my big goal? So y'all remember that I've chatted about that every year, Jeff and I do our reflect and recalibrate and re-energize trip, right? And during that time, we decide on what our big goal is, our big dream, our big thing that we're working to manifest this year. And that becomes, right, our number one thing. And then all of our other daily tasks, monthly tasks, weekly tasks, all revolve around hitting that big goal. So if you guys use my planner, which you should if you don't already, you would know that, it walks you through setting up that big goal. But here's the thing, even if you're now at almost July, in June like we are, and you haven't set a big goal for this year, it's okay. Start now. Sit down and decide where it is you want to go and what it is that you're manifesting into your life. So for me this year, the big goal was Thrive Mindset and to build this and really turn it into something that's not just helping me, but it helps others. And it's been an exciting ride, and there's been, ups and downs with it. And actually, there really hasn't been any downs. There's really been lots of ups, which is exciting. It's been an exciting year. But there are things that maybe I set out to do that I haven't gotten to yet, or I haven't finished doing. I created the planners and journals, which was so exciting, and that's awesome. But I haven't gone in and updated and made new covers. And that was a big deal to me because I get bored looking at the same things all the time. So I haven't done that. But let me back up for a minute, because a mid-year check-in is not a time to necessarily get down on yourself and be like, oh my gosh, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, I haven't done whatever it is. It's actually a time for you to sit down and review your goals, number one. And what do I mean by that? Look back at what you wrote down. Look back at what you said you wanted to do this year, the big and the little that supported the big, and say to yourself, am I on track? Am I where I said I wanted to be? And if you are, awesome. That is so great, but don't stop, because that is an unfortunate trap that we also get caught into. Like, for example, so, a lot of you know that I'm a real estate broker, and I, help people buy and sell and find the home of their dreams. And that is a big deal to me. And with real estate, I do set goals every year of how many homes or how many people I want to help. And it's not to me about a monetary number. It's truly about the people, whereas other brokers might say, I want to sell so much a year. I say, I want to help so many people a year. And each year it's built on the year previous. And I always have set a number that feels very reasonable to me, but it's funny because I get to this mid-year point every single year, and I've done more than I, in my mind, think I should have done at that point. And so that's an easy time for me to be like, cool, I'm ahead of schedule. I don't need to work so hard. I don't need to push so much for this. But you know what? If I did that, if I stopped pushing and stopped trying and stopped working on building that business, and if I stopped making those connections with people on a daily basis, then 3 months from now, I would be doing another check-in with my business and I'd be saying, oh crap, now I'm behind. Like I've got so much work to do. So my point is to you, if you're on track with your goals, awesome. Do not stop. Instead, blow past it, exceed, be so much more than you thought you could be. And then you'll see next year that you can do even more. But if you aren't where you want to be right now, then it's time to reassess. It's time to sit down and look at that list that you wrote and be honest with yourself. Did you create goals to work towards your dreams that were realistic? Number one, were they realistic? Because I don't know about you guys, but I can make a list of things that I want to do or I dream of doing that is so beyond what most people would sit down and say was their goals, that when I don't achieve them, then I get really hard on myself and make myself feel bad, when really everything that I did accomplish was so incredible. And instead of focusing on how great that was and how good that should feel, I'm down on myself, which is stupid. So my point to you is look back at your goals and really think about, were these realistic? And what have I done so far? And do not get on yourself about you didn't lose the exact amount of pounds you wanted to, or you're not exactly at the number you wanted to be making, or whatever it is. Those are just easy things to measure, right? But whatever it is you didn't do not get down on yourself. Instead, remember to celebrate your achievements. Take a moment to acknowledge and celebrate those milestones that you've reached so far and recognize the progress you've made, no matter how small that is. Celebrating your accomplishments not only boosts your motivation, but it reinforces that positive mindset. And then once you've celebrated that, and you've also evaluated what you're doing, what you haven't done, what you should do, and you've really rethought about that plan and those goals to get you to that big goal, those steps that you are taking. Once you've really thought about it, redesign your plan. Sit back down and write it out in achievable steps and take action. But before you actually go into that, like redesigning, I really think you need to take some time to reflect on why. Why haven't you gotten to these goals? Is it because these goals were too big, that they were not truly achievable? Is it that you haven't made the time? Is it that you've gotten in your own way? I mean, here's one people do all the time. They say, next Monday, I'm going to start my diet and exercise routine. And then Monday, Tuesday, they do pretty good. They get their workouts in and they are eating well. But then Wednesday, they get invited to go out for drinks with a friend. And then they eat maybe a little bit of food they wouldn't have wanted to eat on their diet. And then the world is ended. Like they stop because they're like, well, this is so stupid. I couldn't even make it 3 days. Instead of just being like, oh, well, that was the day, move forward, keep going with the plan. So really take some time to reflect. And I know I would love it if you guys were reflecting on a daily basis. But if you're not using your reflection journal, if you aren't spending the time on your own to think about your day at the end of the day and deciding how on track you are with your goals, then take this time mid-year. I mean, take it as often as you can, honestly. But take this time now to reflect and really ask yourself those hard questions. What were your obstacles and setbacks? What prevented you from achieving your goals during the first half of this year? What lessons have you learned from those challenges? Because when you identify these reoccurring patterns or these things that are hindering you from moving forward, those hindrances can be used as a way to propel you forward. You can change them. You can identify them and be able to move them aside. Let's go back to exercise. Let's say that you have this goal of this year of being in great shape and you find yourself busy all day long and not finding the time to work out. And you also find that if you could make the time, but it's probably towards the end of the day, but by then you're too tired or you're just mentally drained or you just don't have it in you to do it. So reflect on that for a minute and reprioritize. Get your butt out of bed 30 minutes earlier and get to your workout earlier in the day when you have the energy And before you have the excuse of being too busy, do it before. So when you look at what your obstacles were, you can change it. And that is a good thing. And it's a good thing to be doing right now before this whole year is behind us and you haven't made the leaps and bounds towards your dreams. Okay, so you have now adjusted your goals as needed. You've made them loftier goals if you were a high achiever, and you have brought them back to more of a reality if they needed to be refined or revised or even replaced. And you've given yourself permission to let go of the goals that are no longer serving you and that they aren't letting you be the true, authentic you who knows where you want to go and knows what you want to do. And you've celebrated your achievements. Now what? Now it is time to redesign that action plan. Break those goals down into actionable steps for the remainder of the year. Work your way backwards, okay? Start with the goal and decide how are you going to get there? What is it going to take on a monthly, weekly, daily basis to get you there? What is it? So if your goal was to make $150,000 this year and you are currently at 60, well, you got a ways to go, right? You've got 90,000 more to go. How are you going to do it? How are you going to bring that in? Well, start with the number, break it up into the months, break it up into the weeks, break it up into the things you were doing to generate and find it. So if it's real estate, how many houses is that going to take? How many, and then with how many homes, how many people does that mean that you need to talk to every day to continue to bring in that business? And just work your way down and backwards. And then how are you going to meet more people, and how are you going to continue to build those relationships? I mean, just go from the end goal and work your way backwards into serious steps, and then write that down. And remember that is what you need to do every single day if you're going to hit your goal. One of the reasons that I created the journal planner that I have, the 3-month one, is to help you through this, right? Is to help you through this on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. And I don't think we've talked much about my planner, so I'm just going to run through this with you a little bit, because if you were like me and you are manifesting the life of your dreams, although you were focused on your positivity and keeping your energy and your vibes high and all of that, you were still having to take action every day, because it's not just going to magically appear if you aren't doing the work. And I'm not saying that it's not magic, because it is, but I can't just lay on the couch all day and dream and visualize and do my gratitude work and all the things and not actually take action, because, well, why would the universe just hand it to me if I don't want to go get it myself? So again, if you're like me, using or having the right tools to keep me on track is super helpful. And because I love to journal, and because I love to write, and because I like to see it out on paper, and there's satisfaction of checklists and those kind of things, I have to have a way to put that in writing that I can see every day and keep me on track and remind me of where I'm headed. But I also know that there's life. There's different things that are happening. There's kids stuff, or there's family stuff, or there's, friend stuff. There's all kinds of things. And so when you actually write it down in a planner and have some organization to it, it allows for that, right? It allows you to prioritize. It allows you to remember where you're headed while living life. So let me just walk you through this really quick. So the planner I have it's a 3-month planner. It starts on any day you want. You don't have to start it on the 1st. You don't have to start it on a Monday. You can start it whenever you want. But the first portion is your monthly overview. And whatever day you start it on. And in that space, I just put out the big things that are happening, the big dates that I know. Maybe it's travel. Maybe it's a class I'm taking, birthdays, those kind of things. Those are written there just as big moments. But I also put in the big moments of things that are moving me forward. So, for example, on Tuesdays, it always has new podcasts, right? And if I know what is already planned for those podcasts, I write that down too. So if I know which guest I'm having, or if I know what topic I'm talking about. I put that down too, just because it's part of what's moving me forward. But then at the top of the month, I have this month's affirmation. And because I'm such a big proponent of being positive and using affirmations in your daily life and having that as motivation, it feels very good to me to say for a month that this is what my affirmation is. And so on this specific month that I'm looking at, it was, I am not too much, I am enough. And that to me is very empowering. And it's something that as I flip through my planner daily, I can see and I'm just reminded of. And it feels, it just feels good and keeps me going. And then on the left-hand side, I have, this is the year, which means that is my big goal. So every month and even day, if I flip past the month, I'm going to be reminded, this is what I'm doing. That is what I'm after. And then I have this month I will learn, this month I will love, and this month I will launch. And I don't really think we've dug into that too much. So I'm going to save that for another day. But every month I try to learn something. Every month I work on loving something, and every month I work on launching something. Yeah, we'll do a triple L episode soon, I promise. Moving forward though, I go into a weekly plan, and the week again has those same ideas restated. What am I learning, loving, and launching? The most important things that I need to focus on this week. Am I thriving? Am I being thankful? Am I having good habits? Am I being reflective? Am I finding my inspiration? Am I using visualization? Am I exercising? And then a checklist of the things I need to do, the results I need to achieve. And then when I get to my daily pages, again, it repeats itself. And I know this may sound like, oh my gosh, why are you writing the same thing over and over? But there is something to be said about repetition. There's something to be said about constantly reminding yourself and continually staying in it so that you can progress forward. And I've said this to you, when you are manifesting something, it needs to be in the front of your mind all the time. And it doesn't mean that you're going to think about it every second of the day, but you should be thinking about it as much as possible. You should be dreaming about it as much as possible. You should be focused on it and moving towards it as much as possible. So yeah, there's a lot of repetition, but that is why it works so well. Anyways, when I get to my daily priorities, I start with what is my one non-negotiable for the day. And that means there is one thing, no matter what, that I will not let the day end without being done. I mean, I may have a ton of other things I need to do, but one of those is the very most important. And sometimes that is things like today, which my non-negotiable was this podcast. It is incredibly important to me to put these out for you guys on Tuesdays. And that means that this has to be done today. No excuses. Nothing can get in the way of that. But other days, it is simply things like yoga or drinking water, or sometimes a non-negotiable is me. It means that time for me just to relax and take time away from the busy. But whatever it is, I pick something that whatever happens during the day, I will get done and I can feel good about. And then of course, I always have something that I'm thankful for. And even though I have a whole separate journal all about gratitude, I do find it important to still write a different thing down that I am grateful for in that day. It recenters me when I'm having a moment that's tough. It reminds me of all the good in my life when I'm busy, and it keeps that positive energy flowing. And then I also have a daily affirmation, and that can be the same affirmation that you wrote at the beginning of the month, and it could be your same thing every day, or it could be whatever encouragement or affirmation you need to hear for that day. So I do have, you'll see I am enough a lot written through this month, but I'll also see things like my story is worth telling, or epic things are happening, or I'm creating the life of my dreams. Whatever it is that I'm feeling I'm needing that day. And then I write down my to-do list. I know so many of us have to-do lists, right? But I write it all down because if I try to keep it in my head, I often get distracted or busy or forget, or I don't get it done because it's not there for me to seriously check off. It's amazing to me how much more in a day I can accomplish just by having a to-do list and checking it off as I go. It keeps me on track. It keeps me moving forward. It keeps me looking at it going, okay, what's left to do? Okay, what's left to do? Okay, what's left to do? But then I also have an extra to-do list, which is basically is just extra. If there's extra time, what else do I want to do? And what's so fantastic about that is just like earlier when I told you, if you're overachieving right now and you are excelling at your goals, then why would you not have other things that could propel you even further forward? Why would you not have a list of those as well? I mean, then tomorrow is going to be easier and you can move on to the next thing. But just so you know, there are days that I don't get any of those done. In fact, there's lots of days I don't get any of those done. And there are days that I get the regular to-do list done and all of the extra things done. And those are amazing days. And they are days that excite me. And those are days that I really see myself moving forward in my dreams. And I just think it's personally important to have both your to-do list and an extra to-do list, because why not? Plus, seriously, there is this massive satisfaction to having a list and watching the checks go on it and be like, done, 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 done. Yeah, well-deserved at the end of the day, glass of wine, right? And then again, I still have my learn, love, and launch for the days, which is part of also my to-do list, but it's just my reminders of what I'm going to focus those energy and those times on. And then on the right, there's actually a calendar for the day. And yes, I do use my Google Calendar on my phone. That is something I live by, but I love writing it down. I love seeing it. I love filling in my day that way. It gives me great satisfaction, and it lets me organize it in my head and not maybe rely so much on that Google Calendar. So my Google Calendar will have my appointments and everything in there. But this is actually, I will write down where those appointments fall, but then I will fill in when and where I'm going to handle all the to-dos. I mean, even when am I going to the grocery store, or when am I going to make time to eat? I write it all in, because having it in an orderly fashion allows me to progress through my day and accomplish everything that I want to do. Okay, enough on talking about the planner. I'm sure if you have one, you know how it works. If you don't, I really would suggest getting it and trying it out. It has been life-changing for me, and I think it can help a lot of you as well. But enough on that. So as we are working through this mid-year check-in, I would also suggest that if you are struggling with your goals and you have created a new plan, that you maybe seek out some accountability, whether that be your best friend, your partner, whomever you can feel like sharing those dreams and goals with, that will encourage you and reach out to you and hold you accountable on a daily or weekly basis, or whatever it is you need. But find someone to help you. It can be very empowering to know that you are accountable to someone else. A great example of this is when you are on a health journey and you are, for example, trying to drink so much water a day. Just having a friend to share that with, maybe compete with, maybe be like, hey, how many glasses of water did you drink today? Just checking in on you. Or maybe you're just trying to work out every day, or, get in that 30 minutes of exercise. So check in with your friend. Hey, what did you do today to better yourself? What did you do today for exercise? Did you get outside? Did you get in your gym? Did you go for a bike ride? Did you go for a run? Did you go for a walk, swim, whatever it is, but just have somebody to keep you accountable. That will really help. And then the last thing that I want to talk to you about with this mid-year review is to really remember to not judge yourself and compare yourself and your progress to others. This is about you. This is your dreams and your goals, not anybody else's. You are on your own magical path. And if I could say that to you every single day, I would. Because a lot of times we get caught up in thinking that we're behind on something, or we're not doing something exactly right or in the time that we anticipated. And the reality of it is whenever you do it, that was when it was supposed to happen. That was when you were supposed to have that experience. Not me, not your friend Sally, not your friend Janie, but you. You were supposed to experience that right then and there. So don't compare. And instead, think of this mid-year check-in as like a valuable checkpoint, a time for you to recalibrate and move yourself forward, and a time for you to get some clarity on your intention and on your dreams and on your goals. Because that is what's going to keep you going. That refocusing is what is going to get you to your dreams. Before we end today, I just want to encourage you to set some time aside this next couple weeks. And before we get to July, dedicate the time in your schedule to do a true mid-year review. Find a quiet space where you can reflect and journal and look at the progress and gain some insights, make some new action steps to move you forward, and come up with a plan to take action and move yourself forward. Embrace this opportunity to recommit to your goals and set yourself up for a successful second half of the year. Guys, you can do it. We can all do it. You are becoming your best self. You are manifesting your dreams. And above all else, remember, I believe in you, and you can manifest the life of your dreams.